Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interestinglife.com and you're joining me on board good old Narrowboat Tilly as we take a lovely sort of late afternoon trip down the canal, and this is by the Frankton Locks on the Llangollen Canal for anybody interested. And today we're going to talk about something I get asked an awful lot about, that is the general boating community. And as I say with so many different things about narrowboat life, community is just like other elements where it can vary wildly from place to place, person to person, and boat to boat. For me personally, the boating community is not as solid and sort of set fast in stone as it is for some people, as I am a continuous cruiser. So over the summer months I'm out travelling down the canal, so sometimes I might be next to one little village and you'll see various dog walkers and bikers and joggers and people regularly for a week or so, and then you'll move on to another area and you'll then see a different set of people every couple of days or so. And similarly, with being out on the canal itself, you'll also have many boats passing, but very rarely will there be a solid community of, right, these are the people who I am going to see regularly for the next 2 years. That it just doesn't work like that when you're out travelling on the canal properly. Whereas when I spent time in a marina, obviously the exact opposite was true. You have a sort of very much more defined set of neighbours and a group of people who sort of go to the marina, whether that's engineers and people doing work at marinas or the actual people living on boats in marinas. So there's all sorts of elements to consider when you try and talk about something in boat life, such as community, that can make it completely different for one person compared to the next person. And that's something that I always try and make clear in my videos so that people can understand when I say something that's not necessarily making it a universal truth for everybody. So for me personally, as I say, I'm a continuous cruiser, so I spend pretty much all of my time out on the canal itself, which over the summer months I will, as I say, be travelling goodness knows where off down the canal and popping up here, there and everywhere, sometimes stopping for one night, sometimes stopping for even only a few hours, but other times stopping maybe for over a week if I think it's a particularly nice spot. And the way that I tend to moor up is very much, almost really like what you've seen here, but less so, if that makes any sense, where there might be a few boats moored up on a 48-hour mooring like the one that we're passing now and leaving, where they might be there for a couple of days. What I like to do is maybe moor up somewhere like just around the corner where we're about to see in just a moment. And by mooring up somewhere like that, you sort of are keeping maybe just within sight of other boats, but you're not sort of in each other's pockets. So if I'm coming or going late at night or early in the morning, or if somebody else is, or if I'm out with my telescope late at night, I'm hopefully not disturbing anybody else who I might be disturbing if I was to moor up right next to their boat. And the thing that I do also love about that and the flexibility of mooring up your boat along a lot of the Llangollen Canal, as you can see we've got this metal siding along the canal here, which stretches for a good amount, a huge amount of the canal, miles upon miles of it, which makes it ideal to be able to drop some hooks down or put some chains behind it and moor up at a huge number of places that might not be right amongst, I don't know, little towns or little villages, but you can moor up just on the outskirts and still have that community centre nearby. And also, similarly, as with actually seeing other people, you're also getting the option then to moor up within walking distance of different towns and obviously shops that are contained within, but also being able to just be on the outskirts away from where maybe a lot of boats come and go, and there might be a lot of traffic that go down, right, for example at Ellesmere, going down the little arm where it's about, I think, a 72-hour mooring stretch, where obviously if you're mooring up around that area, you're going to have boats going to the shops and then disappearing off, a lot of holiday boats in particular around that area, where that, as much as it might be perfect for some people, I personally prefer to just be a little bit more removed from a main traffic sort of area. And just in case you're wondering what's about to happen, I'm just about to pull the boat over to let a boat that was behind us go past, and then we shall resume the trip after we've let them get out of line of sight. So yeah, as I was saying, the community on the actual canal is a lot different to if you're in a marina, where you have people coming and going, and sometimes you might have neighbours that you only see once in the entire time they're your neighbours, because that time might literally be from 7 p.m. on one night to maybe 8 o'clock the next morning. So that doesn't make for the closest, tightest, most bonded community. But because everybody's got a similar sort of interest, and you're all living on boats, or you're all on boats if you're with holiday boaters and so on, you've got that instant sort of similar thing, and that conversation base to talk about, oh, where are you going today, or how's your boat, and just all sorts of boat related and canal based trivia to talk about, as I'm sure that you can imagine. And as if you've seen my videos before, you'll know I can talk an awful lot about boats. So that's something like a lot of friendly people, as you expect, and equally a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's some people who like to just go out more up in the absolute middle of nowhere and just enjoy quiet time, totally alone in almost perfect isolation. And each to their own, I say, so whatever floats your boat. One of the things that I've also got to mention about life on the actual canal itself is winter mooring, where basically there's various rules attached to it, and it's not quite total, but you can moor up in a lot of places along the canal with a general towpath permit for the 5 months over winter from November through to March. And I've last year done a full 5 months, and this year I'm also booked for another full 5 months. And that's something that obviously then gives you a more stable base of community. So I normally spend my winter time around St Martin's and Chirk area, which of course then gives you a far more stable base of community. So I get to know a lot more people, and because I'm somebody who's spent a lot of time in that area anyway and already knew a few people around, you obviously then get to know the various dog walkers and the people who live along the canal, and it's generally a lot more sort of cosy and community based. I think particularly because it's winter and you see people in the cold all wrapped up taking the dogs for a walk, while you've got the fire going inside. Everything seems to sort of fall into a very stereotypical community and canal narrowboat scene of people wrapped up warm, walking down a towpath with a smoky chimneyed boat at the side and nodding hello and a quick wave through the window every now and then. Yeah, ultimately I really do enjoy it. And of course, when I say to people who are coming up on boats, when they say, oh, where have you been, and that, and I say, oh, I'm winter mooring here, been around here for a few months, they then instantly and rather unfortunately wrongly believe that I'm going to know an awful lot about everything in the local area. So that's again one of those things that gives you that instant topic of conversation for other boaters and other people who are out and about on the canals. So that's part of the thing where I say you might not necessarily have neighbours and a regular community of people that you see all the time, but you've always got something to talk about with those people that you do see however often. And again, now we should really, I suppose, move into the marina, not literally, marina life. Now that's something that's, I don't know, it's quite interesting because some people love it and some people hate it. There's a lot of things that I've talked to other people who are out on the canal, and personally I'm really undecided. I like to be out on the canal because, as you can see from this video, it's just absolutely beautiful around here for miles upon miles of just this sort of scenery. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about getting out on the canal itself and being able to travel and moor up in these places. But equally, when I was in the marina, having all of the services, water, electricity, toilets, everything that you could want, all right on the doorstep, it's ideal and very practical for actual living, as you can imagine. But what you do lose is obviously all of this scenery. And one of the things that I think some people don't like about marina life is when you're all lined up in boats next to each other, and particularly for me on Little Tilly, if you've stuck a 30-foot boat between two 50-foot plus boats, then you are basically living in a little metal tunnel between two more metal walls. But again, being out on being in a marina, you have then got exactly what I've talked about on the canal, with a lot of people who all live on boats, and you've all got that similar sort of binding factor and topic of conversation. So it's very easy to have conversations and talk with people in marinas. But equally, some people like their privacy, which admittedly something that I felt quite conscious about when I was in the marina, and I'd be setting out for work at maybe, I don't know, 6:30 to 7 in the morning. And of course, you're right next to other boats, so you're trying to be really, really quiet as you get in and off. And I had to lift my bike up and down onto the stern. And the marina I was in at Chirk had floating sort of pontoon jetties rather than solid wooden ones. So when somebody'd get off the boat next to me onto it, then my entire boat would also shake as the jetty itself moved up and down and pulled on the ropes. But again, if you're looking for that sort of more steady community and companionship and people to speak to, then the marina is absolutely ideal. Ultimately, though, it's down to personal preference, and what I did do the 1 year and was intending to do this year, which unfortunately didn't work out, was have my winter mooring, then go off out cruising down the canal for a few months, spend maybe 1 or 2 months in a marina again, and then go back out for the rest of the year and enjoy some cruising back on the canal when it's a little quieter, like how amazing this is that you're seeing right now in front of you. Anyway, that's just been a very few little thoughts on community and narrowboat life. Nothing in depth and nothing groundbreaking, I'm quite sure, but hopefully, if nothing else, you've enjoyed this absolutely beautiful stretch of canal heading down to where are we heading to? Meistermean Marina in this direction. If anybody wants to look that up, I'll put the spelling in the video description. Don't ask me to spell it off the top of my head. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll wrap things up and say please feel free to check out my other videos, almost 200 narrowboat videos online now, and of course subscribe because I've got at least one boat video a week coming for many, many months to come, and possibly, well, for years to come, hopefully. Of course, feel free to add me personally on Facebook or like the Facebook page for loads of photos and general canal life updates. And of course, check out my books for the Kindle. The Narrowboat Lad is the first one, and A Narrowboat in a Notebook is the latest one. They're only £1.53, nice short quick read, so if you want to help me out and support these videos, check those out. If not, then still have a fantastic day, keep it boat worthy, and until the next time, farewell.